right, so welcome to another episode of, we still haven't found a title for this.
Yeah, we haven't.
But welcome nonetheless. My name is Njideka. I am a financial advisor and business coach, and I have my partner,
Kadeem Wells, aka Mr. Wells, who's also an investment advisor and businessman. And we is here to shoot some game.
Yep, have some conversations, talk about some popular topics. This is not financial advice. We do not know you, as I like to say, and we don't know your personal situation, and so we cannot advise you. However, we are here to get two advisors' take on some popular topics, and then we'll let the conversation flow from there. So, what are we going to be talking about?
But if they want some advice, they can hit us in the DM on Instagram.
For sure. So under the notes, in the description, you will find my information, and in the description, you will find Mr. Wells' information as well. And so if you want to hit us up personally, you can very well do that.
Absolutely.
Right? So what are we about to flow into? What you got?
Well, first, how you been?
I've been great.
What's been cracking since the last time we got together?
Just listen, right now, this is building phase. A lot of stuff that is being worked on, getting it together. So, but a lot of good stuff. And so kind of as time goes on, different things will kind of come to light as far as what's being worked on right now.
So at this moment, how many clients would you say you have that are in that college or high school realm that are getting NILs?
Just one. This is my first one. And so, but I know, because God got me.
Right.
I know whoever my client might be. So sometimes I like to say clients are different flavors, right? Because they have different things going on. And so whomever it is, everybody at the end of the day, certain things are the same across the board, but it's the nuances that every client might have that might be different. So when I move into a new space, I got to learn that space. We talked about it on the last episode, right? Because these young kids, them getting access to this type of capital early, this is part of what we talked about when we talked about the economics of it and them needing to get financial education early.
You got to help these young people, like you said, with these deals and understanding, because what we don't want them to do is what your boy Jermaine Dupri just disclosed what he did for about a 20-year period down in ATL. Now, you know me, I'm a Morehouse man, a Morehouse graduate. I spent 3 years of my life in the ATL, and it is everything that the music say it is. Trust me, I got to experience it. Love my time in ATL. But I would never do what JD did, which is he said,
I spent $10,000 every Monday for 20 years straight.
He spent $10,000 every week on a Monday at Magic City. So if we do the math, that is almost $10 million spent on the twerkers. Okay. So as we talk about these young people coming into this money, or people in general, let's go with your thoughts on that first, and then I'll follow up. So just about 10 million spent on, tossing some dollars.
Yeah.
And my time in ATL, I got to understand that the club scene, especially exotic clubs, that's part of the culture.
Yeah.
So they look at it as if I'm throwing this money, I'm actually helping people get through school, pay some bills, take care of their kids, which on one hand, yes. But from an advisor's perspective or just a financial perspective, what do you think about that?
It's whatever his goal was. If part of what he wanted to do was give back in that way, I can only say so much.
Right.
Obviously from a fight, because you have other people, I might throw you a little bit, or I'm just not going to go there, right? Obviously, from my perspective, I'm going to say, a lot of missed opportunity. He probably will be a billionaire. Literally with the money if that was his investment, if he invested it in another way, then, he could be very well $1 billion at this point, or very close to it. I don't know what his current net worth is. So, I don't have the stats for that, but he could have done certainly other things with that money, but that's what he wanted to do with it.
Nah, you're right. So speaking of, would you say what he could have invested
you running the math on that?
Yeah, let's pull up
compound
the
interest.
Compound interest calculator. 20 years, 40 grand a month. Let's see what that give us. Oh, wait, I think I'm on the wrong thing. Hold on, let me go back. because this is something important. $10 million.
Yeah.
Let's just start with that first. Before we even get to the compound interest calculator, because I'm having a hard time pulling it up. Apparently, $10 million. What could that have done? Let's just talk about first, like a real estate perspective, especially down in Georgia. A lot of land. It costs less than where we are here in LA. Apartments could have been built. Single family homes could have been built. Not only from a perspective on building his portfolio, having assets that will count towards his net worth, but also just from a community perspective, helping our people be able to get into housing, to put a roof over their head. What do you think about that? Because I think of that of 10 million invested over that 20-year period. If we're just talking about him purchasing the real estate just from an equity perspective, what that could have grown to after 20 years. Come on, 10 million definitely could have turned to 100 million.
Absolutely.
Would you agree?
Yes. I mean, at the end of the day, when it comes to real estate, one of the reasons why, it's a major player, when you are building wealth, appreciation, depreciation, right, and equity, and there's just the ability to leverage it to be able to acquire more. And so he could have supported the community in another way. But again, it kind of goes back to our conversation about, the lotto thing, and, she's from right out there as well.
The ATL.
But the culture of, it's just like where people's priorities are. And that's where his priorities were at that point. And I guess, all that time. But yeah, there's a major plays that could have been made with that. Like you said, things relating to housing, things that he could have invested in that would have, yes, been giving back, but he would have gotten a return on his investment.
Right. That's important. So that's on that part of the real estate. So I finally got this calculator to work. $40,000 a month at an average return of 9% for 20 years, 26 million is what I could have grown to in a 20-year period. And that's just the average of 9%. We know the market give us more than that. So that 10 could have turned to 26, which, like we say, reinvesting that into real estate, or even taking that and building some schools or something, the education. Private
equity, he could have invested in a business, and you see plenty of people where they've had, I remember it's a couple of years ago, I think it was, I was about to describe him, but I don't want to describe him like that. Golden State Warriors. Sometimes he fights.
Draymond.
Sometimes
he fights.
So, I think I remember he invested in Invisalign. Smile Direct. Sorry. Okay. Smile Direct is Invisalign's competitor. Gotcha. So Smile Direct was a company, they do the trays, but they would mail them to you at the time, then it was kind of more of a DIY-ish version of what Invisalign is, because Invisalign obviously is primarily done through an actual dentist. But I remember years ago when they first came about, Smile Direct first came about, I remember hearing about his investment in them, and I really would be pulling this out of nowhere, but and I posted it on my page. But again, it might have been like a single digit. We'll just put it this way: it might have been like a single digit investment, and I think it was about 4 to 5 years. Right. And what that had turned into, I think it was at least a double digit, return. But so a lot could have been done, because you're talking about 20 years. Right. That return that I was just talking about with Draymond, it was a 5 year. I think it had just been in the 5 years. So where that could, so again, there was even more potential than getting to the 20 mil. But yeah, just other stuff could have been done. Yeah, a lot could have been done. Now, just for the record, we're not telling Jermaine Dupri what to do with his money. No, of course not. He's a successful black man in America. One of the best producers, in hip hop, from great groups, Criss Cross, Bow Wow, was it SWV, The Brat, Escape. Escape. Did I say it right with, not SWV, was I right with that? Escape. Okay, Escape. Usher, he produced a lot of records. Jagged Edge. Usher. I mean, listen, it goes on and on. So we're not telling Jermaine what to do. We're just saying, if we think from a perspective of togetherness and everything that's going on, especially in America right now, what could be built with that money? And what could be done? So like I said, we're not counting his pockets. It's America. That's why you can do what you want in America to a certain extent, but with your money is what you do.
But when we think about that, even if we look at it, like I said, being in Atlanta, I know that a lot of the people in the area look at it as this, hey, they helping people pay for college, pay for their children to get things done. To where they're like, hey, I am giving back. But now from a perspective, what if we looked at the financial end of, all right, if that's his part of donating, what about those individuals who collected the money? What did they do with the money? What if they have been educated? What if they could have been educated on, all right, as I'm getting this money, I can go buy some real estate. I can start some businesses. I can invest into the stock market. I think those are some things we got to look at, because there's no wrong with having fun. You know, he done made a whole lot of money, and obviously it's not hurting him at this point. But what if? Yeah. That's what I like to know. What if?
And those people weren't put on payroll. So even if you did give them that money, you know, it wasn't necessarily, unless, you know, it depends on how things were, right? How if it was even captured on your, like when it came to your accounting and bookkeeping, you know what I'm saying? So
I don't think they reported that.
I don't think they reported it, right? So you also missed out on, major deductions, right? They were, yeah, so
that is a good business perspective. What if he could have used it as a write-off to lower his bracket down even a little bit more? But you know, it's a perspective, and you live and we learn. But like I said, I don't think it's hurting him, you know, at this point. But like I said, I'm looking at it from the other end of the dancers that were able to collect that money. What if they were financially educated on what they could have flipped that paper into?
Because that could have been a return too. Like that could have been a return, if you will, right? That he might have been cool with as well. So like for somebody to say, man, I was working here for this, you know, XYZ amount of years, and from what I collected, I was able to do this, or I was able to do that. That might, you know, give him some level of satisfaction, which, okay, you know, at face value, will be like, cool, that's great. However, I don't think that financial literacy or financial education necessarily is being taught in those spaces a lot. And so I don't think that he got major amounts of return.
Like if he was throwing the money and said, hey, look, when I throw this money, I need you to invest it into IRA. You know, put it in the S&P 500. Make sure you go down, you know, to Buckhead and buy you some of these properties. That conversation probably not happening.
So.
However, it's 2025. We can probably change that now, change that narrative. So speaking of reinvesting the money, my girl Angel Reese. Okay. Now let's talk about how much about Angel Reese do you know?
I guess a lot, but a little, apparently.
The Bayou Barbie.
Yeah, Bayou Barbie.
Okay.
A lot of controversy.
A lot of controversy, yes. But I think she did something that was pretty dope in my perspective. I am an Angel Reese supporter. Because I actually watch women's basketball. Like, and this is not recent. I've been watching it since I was in elementary school. My sister used to have season tickets for the LA Sparks. You know, when Lisa Leslie was popping. I saw Diana Taurasi, Maya Moore. Like, I really watched women's basketball. And I feel like with her transition to the WNBA, she came with a lot of fandom, a lot of followers. I think she's the most followed WNBA player on social media.
I can believe it.
So everything that she had grown into at LSU transferred over to the WNBA. And then that comes with a lot of criticism when you're a professional athlete. So a lot of people who probably aren't Angel Reese supporters, they mock her because of her game. It ain't the smoothest, it's not the cleanest, but she get the job done. And what they really try and critique her on is her field goal percentage. All right, she shoots close around the basket, but she doesn't make a lot of shots, but she leads the league in rebounding. And they say she only gets her own rebounds. So somebody on Twitter nicknamed it Me Bounds. Trying to clown her, but what Angel did was something that most 23-year-olds would not do. She actually trademarked it and turned it into a business to where now she's selling t-shirts and things like that. So let's talk about how she took somebody trying to clown her, but actually clown them and turn that into a major business move. What do you think about that?
That's how you do. That's a comeback. That's all you got to do. That's all you got to do. I know there's a rap lyric in there about something about your paper and getting your paper.
Always stay gracious. Best revenge is your paper.
That's how you do it. And I'm sure that when she was at LSU and everything, you know, that initial kind of when where there was so many eyes on collegiate football when, you know, them in Iowa at the time, right?
Basketball.
With Caitlin anyways. And it brought so many eyes to the WNBA, right? And obviously, like you said, that's come with a lot of stuff. But I'm sure that even within that time, she learned a lot of stuff, right? She learned about a lot of stuff about the public, being in the public eye. She learned a lot of stuff about branding, right? PR. I'm sure, Shaq is one of her mentors. So I'm sure that behind the scenes, she's had a lot of people that have been helping her and assisting with just mindset along the way.
Speaking of that, with Shaq, she actually just announced about her signature shoe last week.
So I think I saw a video of when they were in like, I want to call it the lab, but like in the presentation about it. But but you got to turn certain things into that, because you have to. There has to be a point where you listen to the right people, you listen to the right ears, and you shut out the wrong ones in a great way. Shoot, it's almost like I'm taking my hate and I'm using it as content, right? I'm using it as stuff that I can make money on. I think that was perfect. In the same way that even though this wasn't against her, I think I was just telling somebody about the bad built bleach blonde.
Somebody's bleach blonde, bad built butch body.
What now?
The thing that Jasmine Crockett did. Jasmine Crockett made a statement to Marjorie Taylor Greene, I believe who it was, and about bleach blonde, this and this and that. And exactly that's what she did. Now, I don't know if she trademarked it, but she definitely put it on her shirt to monetize it. I'm gonna figure this whole thing out. So I commend Angel Reese for going that route, and I commend her build up that brand. That person should have, instead of throwing darts at her, they should have trademarked it themselves, but they didn't. So yeah, I'm gonna build this brand off of your back.
I think that this generation, the Gen Z, has a great opportunity to. They're not only capitalizing, by being able to get paid in college now with the NILs and things of that nature, but now they get to capitalize on their brand. So tell me if you remember Tim Tebow, right? Okay. Tim, imagine how much money he would have made. Tim Tebow. That dude was on everything.
Everything. He was a savior.
Everything.
He was the white football savior.
He was on everything. So imagine him being able to capitalize that on his brand in college by getting endorsement deals and being able to start his own clothing line, because he's very, very into his faith, a man of God. I think that would have been dope. So now for these athletes to be able to be on social media, they're in the public eye 24/7. For her to be honest with herself and say, instead of whining about it, you dissing me and talking, I'm gonna turn into a brand. And now she's making more money off the court, first of all, than her WNBA
That's exactly what I was going to say. I
think for her at that age to be able to internalize that and say, you know what, I'm going to make it. She made like a little funny video mocking it and turn it into some money. That is a great business move. And I think these young folks have the opportunity to get mentorship from Shaq. She was working with Lisa Leslie in the offseason on her game. Now you got the best of both worlds to where you can build something. Take the criticism. She realized I got to get better. Even though she would, to me, for a rookie to come in and do what she did, everybody has to grow. Like it doesn't matter what field of work you in, you have to get better. So she put in that time, understanding branding and marketing, working with Shaq. Off the court, not off the court, but on the court, working with Lisa Leslie, getting better. Now, like her last 7 games, she been balling, but they not gonna give her that praise. How they do when she does something negative with her attitude on the court, because she's passionate about hooping, when really she really don't even have to become a superstar on the basketball level if she didn't want to, because she's built so much of a brand. She's a very pretty young lady, so she's getting these endorsement deals. She can just be an average basketball player and capitalize on her brand for life. But she's shown, all right, it's not just about the money and the brand. No, I really want to hoop, and she's doing it. So I commend her from taking that on the court and getting better, taking her off the court and really building something out of it. I think that's the opportunity a lot of these young folks have right now.
And I think for her, like there are a lot of layers to it. Like one, it's something that she loves, right? Basketball, the assumption anyways, something that she loves. And so correct.
Right.
I might not, at the end of the day, I want to live a particular lifestyle. I have to figure out how to make that happen, even if the thing that I love is not allowing me to be able to do that.
Right.
So you position yourself, right? You do different things. When you said she doesn't have to technically, like let's say she don't have to play basketball, she's building something right outside off the court. But I think there's another layer to that, to where raising the visibility of women's basketball, right? There's a bigger picture, something that's bigger than her, that she also was probably kind of shouldering as well, right? Her allowing people, and it's like, I wouldn't even say it's allowing it, just, you know, accepting that people make her out to be the quote unquote the villain.
Let's talk about that.
Okay.
Because I got a lot. Because like I said, I really watch hoops and women's basketball. So let's talk about the Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese, especially for this year. A lot of America did not watch women's college basketball, and then burst on the scene was Caitlin Clark. Why did they fall in love with Caitlin Clark? Why? Because she likes to shoot threes like Steph Curry from North. She's not as efficient as Steph Curry, but she can shoot from a long distance. That got the eyes open. Okay, we already know, you know, she's white. Let everybody know that. So they fell in love with that. They labeled her the darling. And then Angel Reese hit her with the Tony Yayo in the game.
Right.
But what they like to do is criticize her, which, okay, she probably was extra by walking around the court and doing it to her. But the week before that, Caitlin Clark did that, and it was no issue. What I don't like is when Caitlin Clark shows that she's a competitor, when she out there talking stuff, she's just as petty as the other women, but they never come down on her. And I think that's why Angel has been painted as this villain or the ghetto girl. But it's like, hold on, she's just as passionate as Caitlin. Their style of play, yes, is different. If you want to talk about a basketball player, you can say that Caitlin Clark, which we know is a better basketball player, all-around game, yes. But what Angel Reese brings to the table, as you mentioned, Draymond Green, what she brings is that fire, that tenacity. She gonna play hard. She gonna scuffle. But if you really watch the WNBA, they all play like that. They've been playing like that.
Before eyes, well, told me a lot of eyes.
So I don't like the fact that y'all try and say she's coming with the attitude, but Caitlin Clark's coming with passion.
Well, we know where that comes from.
Right,
like,
we already know.
We already understand the country that we live in. We understand media and how they like to create narratives and so forth. And I think, you know, what Angel Reese is at this point doing, and what some of, you know, the people that she keeps close, the mentors that she keeps close, are doing, is just helping her just to understand, just know who you are, stay in your lane, work on what you need to work on. But utilize the platform. The platform that you have. Just do what you got to do. Like, at the end of the day, people are going to talk because that's what they're paid to do. They are paid to. And
don't worry about the people on Twitter.
Don't worry about any of that. They always need those two people, whether you want to say the Larry Birds versus like the Magic, right?
Johnson.
Like, at the end of the day, it always happens. And so you let them do what they do, but you just keep using that platform. That's the most important thing. And again, she's also young. Both of them.
They both
are young.
23.
They're young. You know, and you have grown men that literally are so invested in people's personalities, people's personalities, and creating or furthering the narrative.
But that's where people like us has to come in and bring some sense to it. Especially someone like said, I really watched this. I was watching her at LSU. When South Carolina was going on their run, I was watching that. UConn, they've been dominating women's basketball for a lot. But this is how you know they trying to make it a villain versus the savior, because Paige Bueckers is a better all-around basketball player than Caitlin Clark. But she doesn't have that same fandom.
The tall white girl?
Well, she's tall compared to women, but she's a guard. She's about 6 feet, 6'1".
She's blonde?
Yeah.
They was all in the same draft, right?
No, she got drafted this year. She was the number one pick to the Dallas Wings. But they're all in the same high school class of 2020, though. But the reason why she came out a year later, because she had tore her ACL her junior year, so she had to sit out a year. But white girl, who's a baller, has a better all-around game than Caitlin Clark, but that same narrative is not following her when it comes to that support. And like I said, we know why. But I think what Angel has done was take the criticism on the basket. Like, as an athlete, you got to take that criticism. She got to get better at finishing around the basket. You got to expand your game. Great. But the personal stuff, like when RG3 was talking about she hates Caitlin Clark, that was on for you to get views for you.
Right.
Why even bring that up?
Yeah.
Why even say something like that versus, hey, they got beef on the court. I love the fiery competitiveness. That's what it should be. What it should have been versus him making that statement and trying to do something to bring views to him using Angel's name about how she hates Caitlin. I personally, especially being a former athlete, I don't think she hates Caitlin Clark. What she hates is why every time I'm doing an interview, you want to ask me about her. Like, ask me about me and what I got going on, and what we can do, what my team can do to get better, or what am I bringing to the table, what I'm bringing to the game. Yes, Caitlin Clark, which as a basketball person and athlete, yes, she's brought a whole lot of people to the game, but so has Angel Reese. But I think anybody with common sense will understand that Caitlin has brought more people to the game. One, there are more white people in America than black folks. Okay. And
becoming questionable, but
right, could be, right, could be.
Right.
But at the same time, her style of play had people watching, shooting those deep threes and hitting them. So yes, but at the same time, you cannot discredit what she brings, because the way that Angel Reese plays, in order to win championships, you need somebody like that on your team.
For sure.
AKA Draymond Green, AKA, well, I shouldn't say AKA, also known as
Rodman?
But Dennis Rodman. You need somebody who gonna go get those rebounds, who gonna play hard and do all the dirty work. Okay, you need that on your team.
Even Shaq, I'm like,
right.
Shoot, yeah.
So you need that. But I like the fact that she's improved her game. But from the marketing standpoint, as we're talking about financial literacy, oh, you want to clown me? Joke's on you. I'm going to go trademark me bounce.
Yeah.
Lil Wayne and Birdman both said years ago they should have trademarked bling bling.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
Bling bling. Pat Riley,
oh yeah,
trademark three-peat.
Yeah.
So for her to be this age, that's what y'all should be giving her credit about. Hey, she took a joke and turned it into some paper.
But why would they? Why would he give her credit? You know what I'm saying? So it's too much. That's too high of an expectation. But yeah, I mean, I think because people, like you said, whether it's the Lil Wayne Birdman analogy, like people made their mistakes. Like because it was, I think, was Byron Scott who coined three-peat. It was an actual Laker player who coined it, but you know,
Pat Riley
trademarked it, you know. And so, but yeah, just understanding this game and taking some of this stuff with a grain of salt, because you have people, you know, rest in peace, Junior Bridgeman. You have people who they don't even know, they don't even talk about.
He's slept on.
But slept on, right? But will go out. Absolutely. You know, you can do this many ways. You can do it kind of in front of, as the lead man. You can do it as the man behind the scenes, man or woman behind the scenes. And so just, you know, focus on what you need to focus on.
But this is why, when we talk about financial literacy, why it's important, and not only knowing our history, but why we got to disclose it. So Junior Bridgeman, for those who don't know, he played in the NBA, I think about 10 years, if I'm not mistaken, okay? What he did while he was playing in the NBA is in the off season, he went to work at Wendy's. He worked at Wendy's for a number of years. He took his NBA money and started buying Wendy's. Right. And he just passed away, I think it was earlier this year. And right when he passed away, I think did he hit billionaire status or something close to it? Okay.
He last year or two he
had just hit billionaire status, and a lot of people do not know who he is. A lot of athletes, NBA players, don't even know who Junior Bridgeman is.
But he's, I believe, so Shaq, for example, I would say that's his mentor.
Yeah, he said he was mentored by Junior Bridgeman a little bit.
And I could also imagine, because I can't remember, like, between Junior Bridgeman and like Magic, that you know, same thing, like they understood.
Those are the two people that Shaq looked up to, with Junior Bridgeman and Magic, and that's why Shaq, you know, he on god dang every commercial you see.
Five Guys, he's everywhere.
But these are moments and things that our community should know about a Junior Bridgeman. How you took his NBA money and built something. Like I say, he's not like Magic Johnson, where he's always in front of the camera on ESPN, Magic Johnson actually is going to be the headline speaker at Invest Fest with EYM. He wasn't necessarily doing that, even though they did have him on there.
Last year I think he was there.
Right. But my thing is, this is a guy who most athletes don't even know about.
Yeah.
And went from an NBA player when they're not getting the salaries these guys getting now, and turned it into $1 billion, this empire for his family, who's going to be taken care of forever. I think Angel Reese is on that that train to understand, I'm going to take what I'm learning. I'm going to invest in my mentorship with Shaq and Lisa Leslie and build an empire and flip my money.
But I think, and I think that speaks to whether it's people that are in the spotlight of sports or whatever that sport may be, and people that are behind the scenes. At the end of the day, if you are in the room of it, I don't care if you are a trainer, if you leverage but I'll use the athletes specifically, right? If the athletes just understood that you all are in when I say privileged position, like you're able to leverage something that other people cannot leverage now. And in some other industries, they may be able to leverage certain things. But if we're speaking about the athlete space, again, in front of people that are in the spotlight, people are behind the spotlight. At the end of the day, y'all both are getting money. What are you gonna do with it?
What are you gonna do with it? One thing we left out with that, Angel Reese and Magic Johnson actually started like a financial literacy program in Baltimore. Did you hear about that?
I don't know why I feel like
I should have brought that up, but so she's on track. That's my whole point. She's on track. She's aware of what's going on, because most young people, especially Gen Z, are not aware of that, and I think that is something that is great.
And the other thing, I forgot to say this, is that at the end of the day, everybody has a time limit. Everybody has an expiration date. WNBA, NBA, NFL, whichever everybody has a time limit in terms of when they will even be in the league. So you want to capitalize and maximize the opportunity that you have while you have it. And so that's another thing. She understands, and between Lisa Leslie, who have had, amazing posts, an amazing post, in WNBA presence, and obviously Shaq and what he's been doing, there's enough people where you either see the example or she has access to people where they're like, listen, that post, that post career stuff or that second career stuff, that second wind, prepare for that, and you can do that now, and you're seeing that.
Yeah, she's doing it. She's doing it. So we commend Angel Reese for that. Shout out to her. And what she's doing, Magic Johnson, the Junior Bridgeman family, all that stuff needs to be disclosed to our people so they can understand what they can build. If they ever come across that money, if they got family members who become pro athletes or entertainers, these are the things that we can do for our community. Not only make money for ourselves and our family, but show others how they can grow and move forward. So I think that's something that's real important.
And then I'm hoping somebody is also just making sure that her businesses are structured in the way that they need to, and that her estate planning and tax planning is the way that it needs to as well.
Well, I would, based on what she's done so far, even though we probably shouldn't assume, but I would assume, hopefully, that as they're talking about the branding and the deals, that they are talking about estate planning, because that is very, very important. Actually, let's touch on that for a bit. So, you are working with college athletes with the NIL. So when we talk about estate planning, so they start buying real estate and getting these brands and trademarks, what are some things should they look for when it comes to estate planning, essentially with what they have?
So it's a couple of things. So there's a complementary conversation that you have. You have a asset protection conversation, and then you have a legacy planning conversation. So actually, it's kind of a three thing. So there's tax protection, right? There's asset protection, or mitigating taxes, asset protection, and then the legacy planning, or affecting the distribution if something were to happen to you, right? So one conversation that needs to happen is that you need to structure your businesses in a particular way, whether it's registering them in certain places, whether it's what businesses own what, right? Who owns what, removing names, right? Having conversations around anonymity. Those conversations begin to happen when you are beginning to build wealth past a certain point. And honestly, if that's with the direction that you see yourself going into, then you want to start it early anyways, right? Even if you're kind of new to it. So those are conversations. So those conversations have to do with, again, it's a kind of a complex thing, but it is lowering your taxes. So as you are getting all this income, you want to, various people we talk about income shifting, right? So you create certain businesses and business structuring so that you shift income from one structure to another, and you allow yourself to take advantage of the tax system, right? This is why having an accountant or a CPA, it becomes so important, not just a tax preparer. No, as you hit a certain income bracket, there's a difference. Tax preparer
and a CPA.
Correct. And a bookkeeper. That's two different things, but an accountant can be all three, or a CPA can be all three of those things. So understanding what you have is super duper important. So, yes.
That is important because, everybody from the neighborhood got somebody who do taxes.
Right.
Everybody else can't do your taxes. Once you elevate, you have to get professionals who can guide you in the proper direction.
They know what to look at.
Also educate yourself too. Do some reading and listening so that you can know what questions to ask. So you're right about that.
So, because the professionals know what to look for. So a tax preparer is just a person that, they can do your taxes, right? So during, tax filing season is January through April, right? Or October if you got an extension. But that's tax filing season, Tax planning season is all year, right? And that's where bookkeepers and accountants really come into play. And that's where a person like me comes into play, because we pay attention to things like that. We are preparing. So you have people that are receiving money in 2025. And before this year is up, we're making sure that before the clock strikes 2026, that you are prepared in particular ways, right? And you're on point. So that's where having an actual accountant or CPA begins to come in. So a tax preparer primarily, right? If they're solely a tax preparer, they will prepare your tax return, right? To go to the IRS. A bookkeeper is a person that manages your books. So when a business is bringing in, income, revenue, they have different transactions, somebody needs to categorize those things, right? In anticipation that, again, the tax preparer is going to need it, or your accountant's going to need it. They need to know, okay, this expense that happened in March of 2025, was it a travel expense? Was it a contractor expense? What kind of expense was this? Because when it comes tax time, the accountant's going to need to know that. They don't want to be going through your receipts. They don't want to be going through having to go through all your transactions.
Bank statements and all that.
Bank statements. Who wants to do that, right? So you have a bookkeeper. You have bookkeepers
doing that as you go along.
Month to month to month, right? Week to week to week. And then you have CPAs or accountants that then, again, they could do all three, but then, and then there are different types of accountants and CPAs in terms of their level of sophistication. Some accountants don't do tax strategy. Some do. So I like to make sure I partner with people who do tax strategy. I need to be able to have tax planning conversations. I need you to be able to do bookkeeping, and yes, obviously I need you to, if you can do some tax prep, right? But because when I work with somebody, I need to be able to know. It's hard for me to work with you, and if you make 200, 300, 400,000 plus, part of me making recommendations for you is dependent on what your CPA, your accountant says that you need. So that's in some ways, that's even how I move, right? But going back to the estate planning and legacy planning. So the reason why these conversations are so important, especially like you said, for young people, is because we have to have business structure conversations. The right people or right entities need to own the right things. We need to make sure that we are taking advantage of the different tax brackets, right? The different tax levels, because you have billionaires and multimillionaires that are in lower tax brackets than people who make a lower income technically than them, because again, they are working with tax strategists, they're working with advisors that are able to help them create the structures to be able to do that. They built a team. You have to have a team.
So you got to invest into yourself. As you make money, you got to be willing to invest into yourself, to pay the right people to make sure that you're on point and on track.
That's a whole nother conversation, because, and this is where in that damn there was a trigger. Because I know people, sometimes, you want to DIY, sometimes you want to cut corners. There has to be points where you need to just invest in yourself and invest in your business, and you have to pay people. Because the errors that you will make will cost more than just having hired the person or people on the front end. And I understand that sometimes it's a matter of, who to trust and so forth. That's one reason why I work with some of I consistently work with people, and I get a lot of referrals, because it's, for me, that's great, in terms of who, if I'm getting somebody referred to me, the referrer, if I trust them and I trust their judgment, then I trust that they'll send me somebody who is a quality person and not a knucklehead, right? And then same thing, they have a level of trust that, listen, this person knows what they're doing, because it's a trust recession right now, okay?
You said a trust recession?
It's a trust recession right now.
That's dope.
So
that's real though.
So, all right, so again, we got, we have some asset planning related to, again, lowering taxes and tax brackets and all that good stuff, right? So payroll might be coming from different places because of that. We have other structures that come up because we need to protect your assets, right? In terms of litigation. So protect you from, so people, for example, don't need to know everything that you own, right? So there's estate planning in that as well, right? Or some asset protection planning, I'll say, in that case as well. But then if in the case that I become incapacitated and pass away, is where estate planning begins to come in.
Power of attorney, healthcare directive,
wills, trust, right? And then depending on where you are, there are different types of trust. So, and then one of the things that I'm learning even more about is about the provisions that are within the trust, because yes, it is different when you go to a certain DIY companies or whatever, and having attorneys involved. There are so there are nuances to that. So this is why, again, when you hit a certain income level, and you, especially if you're really trying to build things, you really need a team, because it allows it, as much as, yes, I agree when it comes to people educating. At the end of the day, part of the reason why you do hire people is so there's certain depths of education where you don't necessarily have to go to, right? Part of where I assist and I help my clients is that they will bring certain things to me, and they're like, tell me about it. What do I need to know? What do I need to look out for? At the end of the day, they will ultimately make the decision, but I help to provide a shortcut to them being able to make a quicker decision,
Right, because you're a part of their team. Like you said, that trust. And I think one way that you and I both operate is we don't want our clients or just people in general to be like, all right, I made this money, here, do it for me. No, we need to, not only are we going to be hands-on, but we want you to educate yourself along the process so that as we move forward, that will make the transition of your growth even easier, because you will have these things in place. You'll be educating yourself on it to where it's like, all right, already when I sit with Jadeka, I know what I need to do, what I'm bringing, because, all right, we did my estate planning last year. Now I'm updating it. So I think that, would you agree, that makes it even easier as the client educates themselves and become more involved and hands-on with their own stuff?
Because they have to. They have to. I don't like to move with ignorant clients. Is that move forward? Like, I don't want people to move in ignorance.
I don't want them to move. Not you don't like ignorant clients. You don't want them to move with ignorance.
As in not knowing. Ignorance as in not knowing. That's what that means, right? I need you to know things, because at the end of the day, you are the person, right, that is leading the ship to. I'm a quarterback. That's how I describe this when I have with the player. That's one of the things I said, because I was like, I got to give this in football analogy language, because I know you understand that. I was like, so in terms of your financial team, I'm the quarterback. I'm the quarterback of your financial team, right? What I have to do is, when you give me the ball, I have to scan the field to figure out who we need to engage with. There are some times where I need to engage with the CPA or your accountant, right? There are times where we're going to call the CPA the wide receiver. For sure.
Boom. I'm the quarterback, or we get the wide receiver.
Right. I may need a business attorney, but you may not know that we need that.
Business attorney, that's your tight end.
Yep. Okay. Boom. We may need an estate planning attorney.
That's going to be my center on the O-line.
Okay. Boom. We may need the IP attorney, an intellectual property attorney.
That's going to be our offensive coordinator.
Right. So there are various people who do business structure stuff, so depending on what we need at what time will determine what a suggestion that I may have, right? But yes, ultimately I got to bring it back to you, because I am in agreement with you. We have an agreement that I am working with you
to help you score.
Boom. for sure. To help, and so every person has to be able to move this further and further down the field
to help
right?
you
So we can get to whatever your goals is, because your goals are in the end zone. And if there's anybody holding that up, I'm gonna let you know. And folks may have to be swapped out, right?
You got to substitute.
Right.
You might have to make some changes. Might have to fire the offensive coordinator. Might have to, cut the wide receiver and bring in a new one. So that is important. But when it comes down to is, hey, me and you got to be on the same page.
Yes.
You need to be involved.
Yeah.
Because if I'm the quarterback, you the running back.
Yeah.
I'm leading you to the end zone. So that is a perfect analogy. And that actually transitions over to our next topic. So when we talk about cutting people or making changes, there's a lot of changes going on, over the past month with the bill is what we're going to call it.
Okay.
All right. Yeah. The bill from
the BBB.
the bill from Mr. Trump that's in the White House. Okay. So a lot of changes have been made. Okay, so when we talk about the immigration, when we talk about Medicaid, Medi-Cal, for depending on what state you're in, all of this comes down to finances. Okay, so first let's talk about how much you've read up on the bill so far, and how that can impact communities financially.
Like I was telling you, there's even more digging that I need to do when it comes to the bill. I know some of the things that I have.
Let's cover just some basic stuff for now.
If we're just talking about qualitative stuff, because I have to look at some of the numbers, right? So qualitative stuff, we know that some people are losing some health care, right? Some communities are losing health care. I know that some people who maybe are lower income but are in the service industry, right? So taxes on tips, right? I know was a big thing. So there is some room for that in terms of what is up to $25,000. I think people don't have to report it. It's tax free. And then one of the things that I need to look more into are some of the benefits, the tax, higher income brackets, right? The things that are impacting people in a higher income bracket. So I'll be having, so that I'll be having an episode on that soon.
Right.
And so I want to make sure that I go into it. But I think the biggest things that I have been noticing, because various people cover it, and it's interesting because various people choose to cover certain things versus their perspective, certain things over others, right? And so
that's why I gotta listen to both sides. I want to hear like somebody like I go listen to a Roland Martin, because you can say he pushes for the Democrats, so I go listen to what he's talking about. Then I can just jump on Twitter, or you can go to Fox News and hear what they're talking about. So you have to be a person who can think for yourself first, and then go listen to both sides, and then you can come to your own conclusion. And I think for you and I, it's our responsibility. We might not know everything, but to where we can give some basic info. So when we talk about the healthcare, I think if the number, I think it's 17 million, if I'm not mistaken, Americans are going to lose healthcare. With them losing the healthcare, that money that pays for that is going to be transferred to somewhere else. And I think, why is that important for finances? Because you got to figure out how you're going to get healthcare for some people. Money coming out of that budget, as we talked about last time, budget, is shifting somewhere else for something that they believe that could be more important per se. But it's also over the next few years going to add trillions of dollars to America's debt, which I thought we were supposed to be trying to get out of debt. So everything got to do with the money, so that's something important. And I think everybody, like I said, what I like to do is listen to both sides and then come to my own conclusion. I think everybody needs to pay attention, because this is serious. You might have a relative that might be losing health care. I have a elderly mother, who is about to be 77 next week. Now, because she's over 65, from what I know is that she will not be losing her Medi-Cal or Medicare, but there might be somebody else who might be affected. Social Security is supposed to be getting affected to where I guess they'll be paying lower in tax. So it's like, okay, one thing might sound good, but the other might hit us somewhere. What's your thoughts on that?
I think that the challenge is, so we understand that at the end of the day, U.S. is built on capitalism, right? On the system of capitalism. And this idea of, whether it's opportunity, free enterprise. And I think that there are aspects of that we buy into, right? But I think because of our values, right? Everybody has different values though. And so values and beliefs. And I am a person that believes that, yes, do I have, you in some of my content, you'll see rhetoric around whether it's shooting for the stars and, and having certain types of lifestyle and being able to have work so that you can have options and be able to do things and bringing in, certain amounts of income. Yes, I do, because I believe that just cost of living wise, there's certain things that you need, depending on the type of quality of life that you want. And I know the type of quality of life that I want. And so I'm willing to work for that, and just not, the rhetoric around people not settling, just and accepting things, staying in comfortable places, right? So yes. Now, and so there are things related to tax brackets, right? And income shifting and deductions and credits and all that stuff that are great, are good to hear about. Where I think that for me, where I probably differ, and I differ from certain people, and I'm not even going to say Republicans, because this is not a Democrat and Republican thing. This is a values thing, right? And I value people, and I value humans. Because
Nancy Pelosi's a Democrat, and she made, I think, about 200 some thousand a year, but she's worth some M's. So she worth some M's. So she's doing the same thing that Trump and them doing when it comes to the investing. Because her husband is a hedge fund manager or works in hedge fund. So there's information that they all are privy to, and they all winning. So like I said, I agree with you. It's not Democrat, Republican. No, it's value.
It's values, and it's, do I believe, and I just saw this on social media, do I believe that people also, that even with that particular perspective from myself, do I also believe that people should be granted basic health care and housing and food? Yes, I do. Yes. I do. Yes, government, I do. And the challenge, I think, and that's one of the places where I think there's a basic difference in that between people that are running the country. The other thing I think is, again, because this comes into play, is how much wealth people have access to, and they're shooting up their net worths and things, and the divide is getting more and more, and it's almost like, at what point
is enough enough?
At what point is enough enough?
At what point is enough enough?
And if, just before you say that, I'm sorry, one thing I remember somebody said it, I think they were on, was it a panel? But one of the things I heard was that if literally all the quote unquote the wealthy people just paid what they owed, have you heard that? If they literally just paid what they owed in taxes, literally we would wipe out a lot of
the debt.
A lot of, not even just the debt, but just things related to homelessness, hunger, and things like that.
Well, think about it. Those that support Trump, MAGA, whatever you want to call them, when they talk about America first, well, how is it that you have all these veterans that are homeless who put their life on the line for our freedom, and they are here in LA, they on Skid Row? Okay, to me that sounds like a hypocrisy to me. Because to me, if you put your life, like, I would never join the army. What Muhammad Ali did, I would have done. I'm not going to war. I'm probably gonna sit in the jail cell, even though I don't want to go there either. But what I'm saying, if they did that and they put their lives on the line, how they don't get housing and medical, they should get whatever they need to have basic living, the skills to be able to function. They're suffering from PTSD and all that. You hearing bombs going off, you being shot at. When you come here, you're not normal anymore. You have to integrate back into society, and they should get all the skill set things that they need to be able to function, to be able to live, to be able to work. The other side is more to that as well. Yeah, and you know what's funny? So a couple of things that, because I don't know, just issues and funding related to veteran affairs, right? Major issues related to that, to where folks aren't getting what they need. Right. But
I was gonna say, and I lost my train of thought. Oh, somebody, I think it might have been, is it Mondani? Who just won the Democratic primary for the mayoral race in New York? Zoran, the gentleman.
I know you're talking about though.
Yeah. So, because I don't want to mess up his name. ZM. Are the initials, right? So one of the things that he just based on, I think, that whole race, I don't know if it was him who said it or it might have been somebody just making commentary, but I thought it was funny. They talked about, because he's a democratic socialist, right? And people were like, oh, socialist is a cuss word, right? But they were like, technically the armed forces is a socialist. It's socialist as well. Yeah. They get free healthcare. They get free, right? They get these different stipends. They get, various things for free education.
Right.
And so if it makes sense for them, then why are there people that it does not make sense for?
Right.
To your point of like people coming back, I even saw a recent people coming back, veterans coming back and not being respected or not getting access to things that they need to get access to. I don't know if you saw a recent press conference that Trump had where he was saying he was even getting rid of, he wanted to anyways, get rid of Veterans Day. He wants to make it World War I Victory Day. He said there's too many off days.
I did, when he talked about the tweet that I heard about the off days was when it was Juneteenth.
Juneteenth, correct. I feel like he's going to back away from that. You never know if he'll come back.
You never know from him. But the whole point is understanding how much do you need? So I pulled up the 10 richest, 10 wealthiest. I put America, but ChatGPT gave me the top 10. So Elon Musk, $390 billion to $407 billion. Larry Ellison from Oracle, worth $243 billion to $258 billion. Mark Zuckerberg, $227 billion to $240 billion. Jeff Bezos, $226 billion to $242 billion. Then they got Bernard Arnault, who's not American. So for those of y'all who like Louis Vuitton and all that, Bernard Arnault owns Louis Vuitton,
LVMH.
Which is LVMH. All right, just so y'all know. I'm gonna stop there at those top 5. Well, since he's not American, let me go to number 6. They got Larry Page with Alphabet, so that's Google, y'all, worth $156 billion. If I had $100 billion, I wouldn't mind taking $1 billion and passing it to the American people to get some things taken care of. I don't think that'd be an issue.
But you have different values than some people have different values, because guess what? There are billionaires. And there are billionaires and multimillionaires that actually feel the same way that you do.
Right.
They feel that there should be, whether it's a cap, if you will, or whether just some level of a redistribution, because they're like, listen, I still will be cool, but it has to do with values. It has to do with priorities and values and your beliefs.
Yeah, that's what we're going to come down to. Like you said, it's not Democrat or Republican. It's value. If I got $100 billion, whether it's cash or in equity, because most of their money is tied up in equity. If you just gave $1 billion away, it ain't gonna hurt you. But it's not even that you're giving away. It's hey, I'm gonna help those who need these basic things because I'm good for the rest of my life. My family's good for the rest of our life. So that's what I'm gonna end on is, like you said, that value.
And some people do. Some people do, right? Obviously. But again, that's strategic too, which in terms of charitable giving, listen.
Right.
And it is what it is, right? If I have to give it away, if I'm gonna give it away anyways, and it's gonna help me tax wise,
right?
That's a strategy as well. That's what I help clients with as well. But yes, in terms of just humane thing, because you see Bill and Melinda Gates, and that has its own, right?
Yeah, they got their own thing.
You got its own thing. But I'm gonna tell you something. From whether you want to talk about the Jewish, and that's again another conversation where you want to talk about Jewish circles and their ecosystem, right? And even what's powerful about the Buffett Gates, bromance, right, if you will, and them being best friends, right, or them being close, and how even with Warren Buffett's wealth, for example, part of who the majority of it's getting distributed to, besides his children and their foundations, is the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. And the efforts that they're doing. So that's honestly where, kind of like you said, we'll kind of wrap up, but that's part of the lane, because I don't want to take everything for that they are doing, right? Again, everybody's based on whatever, where they are, what their values are. But one thing, again, whether it's the Jewish folks or them, at the end of the day, I have built wealth. I've built that up to where I can choose to do what I want to do with it.
Right.
I could fund what I want to fund. And if I get to $1 billion, if I get to hundreds of millions, and as part of my estate planning, as part of my wealth distribution and wealth transfer, my arrangements, is that you have a foundation and I know that we're on the same page. At the end of the day, I don't care what, it's like whatever to what's going on outside of me, I'm gonna make sure it's gonna go to your foundation because I know what your foundation is about. And that's so whether that is between MAGA folks, whether that's between, socialist folks, whether that's between whoever that, Jewish folks, whoever that's between, it's going to happen. And within that, in keeping that perspective, I can understand it, and
that's true.
You just got to get there.
So, great conversation again today, to wrap up. I think it's very important that we just continue to move forward, educate ourselves, and just go from there. And I think we should hit the people with some good stuff, on the next episode to educate to a certain extent, have some great conversation. Anything you want to leave on a note with?
These are opinions and perspectives. Everybody got one.
Everybody got one.
Everybody got one. And so, we're just bringing ours. And hopefully folks got, some things to think about, some perspective. Definitely drop any comments, any questions that you may have, some perspectives, whether it is in line, whether it is right. It could not be in line with what we're saying. But again, like you said, I just look for it. We'll have more conversations like this. To get the people thinking. There's a lot going on, so these are necessary.
So hit us on social media. Y'all can follow me at Mr. Wells89 on Instagram and Twitter. That's where most of ours at. I ain't on TikTok yet. Okay. I gotta figure out how to work it. I'll probably try it.
You're not that old.
Where can they find you again?
I'm on YouTube, Instagram, where this will be housed. This episode will be housed. Instagram, I'm on TikTok. I'm almost everywhere. I'm pretty much everywhere, but YouTube and Instagram are my main places. But you guys, again, you'll see the information in the description. So for myself and for you.
As E40 would say, you everywhere like air, huh?
That.
All right. See y'all, my people.